This is home sweet home.
Yeah. It is.
There's a lover in the story, but the story's still the same. There's a lullaby for suffering and a paradox to blame. But it's written in the scriptures and it's not some idle claim. You want it darker, we killed the
So this is home sweet home.
Yeah. It is.
So this episode is called Home Sweet Home because in a lot of ways, this episode is about our people wanting to go home after the war with the Whisperers and Maggie coming home, only to find that home has been destroyed and what happens next. Home has taken on such a complex meaning, especially since Maggie now has to live possibly next door to Negan, her mortal enemy. So there's a lot of emotional territory that's being explored in this episode.
Hey, Maggie.
At the start of this episode, Maggie and Negan set eyes on each other for the first time in many years. This is a charged moment for both of them. And from Maggie's side, what we wanted to play was that in some ways, she's really surprised by this, but she's trying not to let him rattle her too much. The interesting thing is we had dialogue for her, and in the editing process, we wound up stripping it out because her reactions were so strong in these awkward silences. There's a lot going on in that moment between the two of them.
Negan was with the Whisperers that night. I wanted you to hear it from me because...
It was you? You let him out?
The scene between Maggie and Carol at the hilltop it's one that I really love. I think both of these actors are so strong.
Alpha needed to die, and Negan was our best chance.
We wanted to show a scene of how friendship means that sometimes you have to tell people things that they don't want to hear and that you don't want to say. This is clearly a painful revelation for Maggie, but the two of them are able to have a civil conversation about it, kind of work through their emotions, and then keep moving on.
Thanks for telling me. I need to get to Herschel and the others.
We knew that for Maggie's big episode back, we obviously saw her in episode 16. However, we didn't really get to know much about what she's been up to. Who is this masked man that she showed up with? That friendship between Maggie and Daryl is also a really deep one and one that has lasted many years. Maggie can be kind of vulnerable with him in a way that she maybe is not ready to be with everybody yet.
It's actually good to say some of it out loud. Just can't say all of it,
I know.
I really wanted people to feel just that friendship between them again. I find the way that they react to each other so moving. Daryl says very little in the scene in the way of dialogue, but there is so much going on his face.
Next door if you need me.
He's just there for her in a really gentle way, not pushing her too hard because she's not ready, but just being a rock in the way that Daryl knows how to be. I think in the time of COVID and all the restrictions, the amount of action that we can do in an episode is a little different than usual. What we went for, which is it's more of this kind of creepy, tense, sneaking action. Anything that's just a couple of people is easier at this point than anything that involves multiple people. And anytime you have action, there are so many people that are involved in making it come to life on set.
3, 2, 1, go!
So you've got, stunts coordinators. You also have people on the VFX side looking at what needs to be enhanced. There's a lot of safety protocols that come with that on top of the COVID stuff. I think that people really have a spirit of wanting to make everything exciting and great anyway. So these kinds of sequences are ones that everybody really comes together on and works really hard on together.
Hey, Mom.
After all the tension in the woods, we definitely wanted the reveal of Herschel to be sweet and a little funny. We want to show that the young Herschel is a little bit like his mom and a little bit like his dad.
I'm a glass half full kind of guy.
And I think that there were ways that Glenn could find the brighter sides of life sometimes that I think were really important for the survivors.
It wouldn't hurt you to think things through a little more carefully next time, would it?
Sorry. Got a cool car.
And so we thought it was really fun to kind of introduce him in a situation where this kid has survival skills. He clearly somehow got up a tree, managed to stay away from the bad guys, and yet he's a rascal. When Maggie strolls on home, I think for Negan, there's a lot of things running through his head. He has gone through this whole journey over years. He's tried to convince them, I've paid my debt to society. And he realizes that when Maggie is now here, that completely changes the calculus because, of course, people love Maggie a lot more than they love him. And if Maggie's not happy that he's there, what's that going to mean for Negan's future? So I think in Negan's mind, he's just trying to figure out, was that all for nothing? What comes next? What do I have to do? How do I deal with her knowing that she hates me? So I think that's a big part of kind of the emotional underpinnings of the story going forward.